Good morning, folks. Let's look at the plan for today. So my frame has been drying overnight. It's all lovely and smooth. Ready for a big hole I'm going to cut in there. Clean up the Crown Vic, get rid of all the rust. I thought I'd painted them, but I guess I didn't, so I need to paint those mounts for the trailing arms. Wire wheel, I did paint them, I'm confused. Anyway, I'll wire wheel everything. There's no point painting the aluminium because apparently the paint doesn't really stick to it anyway. And when it doesn't have rusty metal on it, it shouldn't turn brown. I'll take the steering rack off, clean that up, paint that, then get it back on, and then start cutting holes for the steering column. Right, the front end is back in temporarily, but I need to ask a question before I do something potentially stupid. So I shall give you a closer look. Hold on. Let me explain the situation. This is where my steering shaft comes up, and it would hit the side of the frame about there. Okay, so obviously I will be putting a universal joint, steering knuckle, whatever you want to call it, here. So I can change the angle down here a bit, but the more angle I put here, the bigger the hole I'll need to cut. Other than that, if I bring it up to this point, then I just need to kind of notch around there, up to there, and then I was going to, hold on, so if I was going to notch this out here, I would put in a section of tube like this, maybe not as thick as that, doesn't need to be that wide I don't think, but that would go in this notch that I make, and then I can weld round it to make this strong again. But as you can see from the exhaust sits there, so I can't put anything underneath because it will go straight into the exhaust headers, tubes. So my only option is to bring it up to here. Let me show you what are the plan for this side. So from the top side, you can see where the steering linkage would come up. I'm not using this bar, I'm just showing as an example. So this section here will be probably in about there, inside the frame, inside that tube I was talking about, and end up about here, right? So from that point, it would go with another joint along there, and then eventually up into the cabin. And I would use like Heim joints, like maybe one there, one there. I just want it all keeping it, you know, as straight and rigid as possible. I don't know whether to mount that one in line with the shaft that's coming up, or mount it that way for the shaft that's going along. Yeah. So before I cut a giant hole at the front of my frame, I want your opinions and your suggestions. Is there any fancy way of doing this other than cutting a hole in the frame? It can't go under the exhaust. The angle would be like 90 degrees, so a U-joint would not work. I can't think of any other way. So answers on a postcard as usual. Let's see if there's anything else I can get on with today. I did find a couple of brand new poly bushes that I think I'll use for the transmission mount compared to the rubber bushings I was going to use. A fair bit chunkier. And also, if you notice that bolt, this is the right size bolt I need for the bottom of the transmission. It'll go up that way, and it's the right size for that bushing, whereas the other one, there was too much play. That's kind of why I added those little brass collars in there, just to kind of fill the gap, but no one liked them. So I think that's a better idea. Let me know what you think of that. They're not as squishy as the rubber. Actually, that rubber's quite hard. But they're definitely a bit chunkier. So I suppose I could plumb in my brake line, maybe even do the fuel line today. Who knows? I just had a little meeting with Destiny. I was feeding in my brake line through all the holes. And do you remember when I decided I was not going to move this tab down to here? Well, looks like I will be doing that after all. I noticed on my pipe, it looks like I've crushed the pipe right there. So that's no use. I don't want to start messing about with that, so I'm going to cut that pipe, cut that section off. So if I'm doing that, I might as well relocate that tab. And as it turns out, the flex pipe will actually sit quite nicely about there, which will allow movement up and down without snagging on anything. So that is going to be the new home for that tab. I'll cut that off, weld it there. And that takes care of the pipe crushing. Doesn't take care of the crying baby, unfortunately. You know what I'm like with crying babies. Stupid babies. Right, let me get that done. And as if by magic, it is done. That looks better, doesn't it, guys? So I just need to put a new end on that pipe, feed it through. And that'll be the back end finally done, except for the fuel pipe. Still need to do that. My rear brake is now plumbed in. That looks much better, doesn't it? Lots of space. So I just had to do a little 90-degree bend. Decided to put it under the shock rather than over. Then it curls round there. Clipped in through the frame there. I remembered the grommets. And then along here. Now, another happy little accident. So because I cut the pipe at the other side, it's not quite long enough now to go up the firewall, but that's okay because I still need to install my rear brake proportioning valve. Now, wouldn't it make far more sense to be able to adjust the back brakes on the fly? Like, you know, if suddenly you want to do a burnout, you don't want to have to get out the car and wind something up at the front. So if I mount that roughly, probably about, it's hard to tell without the body on, but basically just in front of the driver's seat with a little secret hatch that I open up, then I can reach down and turn that on and off, and that'll just I've got plenty of pipe to hook it up there, so that makes sense, I think. Right, I'm going to stop there for the day before I run out of luck. I just have to I just need to pull that big motor out of the way so that I can park my truck back in the drive. So thank you for following along again. I didn't really get a lot done today, but I think it was fairly important what I did do. So tune in possibly Monday. I might take tomorrow off. Wife misses me, apparently. Plus she wants to buy flowers and stuff. I don't know. Okay, please subscribe if you've not already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.